Ta druga sesja
And the second
rozpocznie
session
się
will
wykładem,
begin
rozpocznie się prelekcją
with a
pani
lecture
profesor Katarzyny Słuchockiej
by
z
Professor
Politechniki
Katarzyna
Poznańskiej,
Słuchocka from
która
the Poznań
opowie
University of Technology,
nam
and she will tell us
treść swoich przemyśleń pod tytułem
about her
Love, Vision,
thoughts on love, vision, consequence or synergy of nature.
Ten wykład będzie
And this is a recorded
opowiedziany
lecture.
online.
Dobry wieczór Państwu. Dzisiaj chciałabym mówić o miłości.
Today I would like to speak to you about love.
Miłości do mężczyzny,
Love
miłości
to a
do
woman,
ludzi,
to a
miłości do
man, to
przyrody, do
people, to
ptaków,
nature,
roślin.
birds,
Jednym słowem
plants.
miłości do przestrzeni,
In one word,
do miejsca, jego
about
walorów,
love
zapachów,
to a
kształtów,
space,
do form, do
its
słońca, wiatru
values,
i powietrza.
sense,
Tym
forms,
miejscem jest wyspa
the
Lanzarote,
sun, wind, the
będąca
air.
częścią
Such
archipelagu
place
wysp
is the
kanaryjskich,
Lanzarote
która
Island
dla
in the
Césara
Canary
Manrique
Islands
stała się
that
głównym
for
motorem
César
do działania
Manrique became the
w kierunku
main
zachowania jej
driving
tożsamości i
force for
wyjątkowego
maintaining
charakteru.
its unique character and
Podejmując zatem
identity.
temat wzajemnych relacji
This
pomiędzy
presentation
środowiskiem przyrodniczym a
addresses the topic of
człowiekiem
mutual
w kontekście
relations between the
specyfiki
natural
realizacji
environment and
architektonicznych Césara
humans
Manrique.
in the context of the
Zagadnienie to
specificity of
stanowi
César
doskonały
Manrique's
pretekst do dyskusji
architectural
na temat
implementations.
piękna
This
natury i
constitutes a pretext for a discussion on
Przeprowadzone
beauty,
badania
nature
oparte
and
zostały na
art.
obserwacji,
The research was
analizie
based
in
on
situ, także
observation,
emocjonalnym
in
odbiorze.
situ analysis
Był to
and
bezpośredni
emotional
kontakt i
reception.
reakcja
This was
percepcyjna
direct contact
związana
and
z wybranymi
perceptual
obiektami i
reaction
przestrzeniami wyspy Lanzarote.
connected with selected
Celem
objects and
przeprowadzenia analizy
spaces
wpływu
on the
i
island
wartości
of
podjętego
Lanzarote.
kierunku
This
projektowania.
was done in order to analyze the impact and
Miejsca
value
istnieją w
of
rozmaitej skali.
the design
Na jednym
direction.
jej krańcu znajduje się ulubiony
Places
fotel,
exist on
na
all
przeciwnym cała
scales.
ziemia.
At one end, there is your
Ważnym
favorite
typem
armchair.
miejsca
At
po
the other,
środku
there
tej
is the
skali
whole
są
earth.
rodzinne strony.
An important type of place in the
Jest to
middle of
region,
the scale is your
miasto czy wiejska
hometown,
okolica
region,
dość duży, by
city or
zaspokoić życiowe
rural
potrzeby
area
człowieka.
large enough to meet all
Przywiązanie
human
do rodzinnych
needs.
stron może być bardzo
Attachment to
silne.
one's homeland can be
Jakiego
very
rodzaju
strong.
jest to uczucie?
What kind of
Z
feeling
jakich
is
powstaje
this?
doświadczeń
What
i w jakich warunkach?
experiences?
Przywoływany
form this?
przez Yi Tuana fragment z monografii
This
Przestrzeń
maxim
i
quoted
miejsce
by
w
Yi
sposób
Tuan in the
trafny
monograph
odnosi się do
Space and
życia,
Place actually
sposobu
refers to
działania
the
i
life,
postrzegania świata
way of acting and
hiszpańskiego malarza,
perceiving the
rzeźbiarza,
world
wreszcie
by
kreatora
the Spanish
przestrzeni
painter, sculptor
architektonicznej,
and finally
Cezarego
creator of
Manrique
architectural
Cabrera,
spaces, César
który
Manrique
ukierunkował
Cabrera,
swoje
who focused
aktywności
his
na
activities
działalność
on
proekologiczną
pro-ecological
związaną
activities
z jego rodzinną wyspą
related to his
Lanzarote.
home island Lanzarote.
Od roku 1968
In
po 4-letnim pobycie w Nowym Jorku
after a 4-year
twórca
stay in New
uaktywnił
York,
swoje zainteresowania
he
krajobrazem wyspy w aspekcie
activated,
tożsamości
launched his
kulturowej
interest in the
i
island's
ochrony
landscape
krajobrazu,
in terms of
co
cultural
w
identity
konsekwencji
and
wpłynęło na
landscape
obecny
protection,
wygląd
which consequently influenced the
Przestrzenie
current
bez
appearance
tablic
of the
reklamowych.
island.
Tradycyjne,
Spaces
niewielkich
without
gabarytów
advertising
budownictв.
boards,
Architektura
traditional
wpisująca się w
small-sized
kontekst
construction
przyrodniczy.
architecture
W sposób
that fits
subtelny,
into the
wskazując
natural
na istnienie i otoczenie
context,
człowieka,
subtly pointing to the
to
existence of
urealniane do
humans
dziś
in its
założenia
surroundings.
ideowe twórcy.
These are the creator's
Zwolennik
ideological
ładu
assumptions that are still
Nie
being
był
realized
przeciwny
today.
turystyce na wyspie i
As a
wyrażał
supporter
opinię,
of
że
spatial
odpowiedniej
order, he was
jakości
not against
turystyka
tourism
może
on the
stać się
island, and he
przewodnim
expressed
nurtem
the opinion
gospodarczym
that
wyspy.
tourism of appropriate quality had the chance to become the leading economic trend of the island. Traditional construction, repeatable in expression and color, can be found regardless of the size of the agglomeration, which gives the island area an interesting uniform character. Sparse greenery, graphite of rocky volcanic substrate, and mostly white
To trzy
buildings
wiodące barwy
are the three
stanowiące główne
leading
komponenty
colors
założeń
constituting the main
przestrzeni.
components of spatial assumptions.
Podążając za słowami Christiana Norberga Schulza,
In this aspect, we should agree with the words of Christian Norberg Schulz. Nature sets the directions of man's existential space in a more specific way. Every landscape contains directions and specific spaces that help people
Nie
find
trudno się
support.
nie zgodzić i mieć poczucie, że właśnie
Awareness and
świadomość
responsibility for
odpowiedzialność za
oneself,
siebie,
current and future
obecne i
generations,
przyszłe pokolenia,
visible in
widoczne
the
w
approach
podejściu
to
do
space design
projektowania
and
przestrzeni
articulated in
i
César
artykułowania
Manrique's
w
architectural
realizacjach
implementations,
Césara Manrique
confirms the
potwierdzają
position
właśnie to
of both.
stanowisko. Realizacje z autorstwa Manrique,
Projects
tworzone w
by
analogii
Manrique,
do natury,
created in
wyróżniające się
analogy to
płynnością
nature,
form
distinguished
i
by
swobodnym,
fluidity of forms and a
plastycznym
free
sposobem kształtowania,
plastic way of shaping,
zaliczane do nurt
classified
architektury
as
organicznej,
organic architecture,
mogą stanowić
can
przykład
be an example
synergicznego
of a
podejścia do projektowania przestrzeni
synergy-focused
architektonicznej.
approach to the design of architectural
wydobywane
spaces.
z elementów natury,
Forms that are
nierzadko
extracted from
postrzegane
elements
jako
of nature, often
prezentują się
perceived
jak
as
naznaczone
sculptures,
funkcją integralne
appear as
składniki
integral
krajobrazu.
components of the
Te
landscape,
swoiste
marked with with a function. These specific continuum with surprising shapes of works of art may indicate humility towards the existing landscape and the changes taking place in it.
Fakturalność struktur, która oferuje możliwość głębszej,
What was of interest to César Manrique? The texture of the structures,
rozpoznanie terenu,
the haptic recognition of the terrain that completes the picture of the whole of César Manrique's unique creations,
kawałek po kawałku bez
which enter nature's territory without permission and annex it piece by piece without harming it in any way. Rather, his actions help to expose the interesting fragments of nooks, crannies, and crevices, showing us that any place is suitable for creating a space that is unconventional, functional, and at the same time familiar in the existing environment. The authors play on available materials, which are boldly integrated into the chosen space, constitute the building blocks for the interiors and exteriors of the buildings, often appearing as temporary installations. The artist altered the landscape slightly to paint it in his own way, but in a way that opened new possibilities for tourism, without excessive interference, without overusing scale, respecting the context in harmony with what is around him. The effects of his creative activities constantly delight visitors with their aesthetics, the choice of compositional elements, and a balance of proportions and construction of a hierarchy of expressions.
Prezentowana twórczość architektoniczna stanowi modelowy przykład pogłębionej analizy i
architectural work is a model example of an in-depth analysis and sensitivity to the surrounding landscape, as well as cultural and architectural context, resulting in a concept that is coherent,
i projektowania architектonicznego,
especially concerning the establishment of a way of spatial planning and architectural design throughout the island. A holistic approach derived from respectful tradition, the natural environment, attachment and love for the homeland, combined with a limitless imagination, is translated into a way of life for the island's inhabitants. Promotion of the area and the development of tourism, despite the unusual approach to the general policies of the tourist sector.
Spotkać możemy swoisty geniusz loci.
Genius loci can be found in the spaces designed by César Manrique.
Jednorodna, jasna kolorystyka,
The homogeneous bright colors, the inclusion of inanimate elements in the composition, which form the basis of the construction of specific forms, their use as artistic supplements that emphasize the charm and style of the premises. All of those form a unique and original vision that brings together a timeless idea based on tradition, culture, simplicity, and symbiosis. An idea that supports human existence on many levels: environmental, social, cultural, and economic.
Pozbawione granic dwa światy,
devoid of boundaries, the two worlds of pure art and design art together respond to the challenge.
Czy sztuka i architektura stoją na
Are art and architecture on an equal footing? Is this a valid question, given that it is difficult to find even a thin line that clearly marks one from the other? Function, usability, ergonomics are components in architectural design and are a nod to the future users. In this case, the spaces that we co-share with nature, created for human use, form the basis for sculptural activities and the modeling of interiors in an original and comfortable way of living.
Kreowane przez artystę założenia, jaskinia
The cave formations created by the artist Jamos del Agua, the Cactus Garden, Mirador del Rio, the Tinanfaya National Park, its house in Taro, which houses the César Manrique Foundation Museum, are important points on the tourist map of the island. These are recognizable and fascinating, and to this day they still exude a boldness in the decision-making process, bordering on madness when considered in terms of classically conceived architectural forms. Corridors between rocks, guided by light seeping from hidden sources or marked by the white of uneven surfaces. Well-thought-out steps. They are all intricately woven puzzles. These are non-obvious spatial games in which there are no losers.
z grą światła i
There's the
cienia,
play of
odnosi
light and
każdy,
shadow,
komu dane jest znaleźć się w
and
ich
it's wonderful to be in their
Kontrasty
vicinity.
barw. Biel architektury, czerń lawy.
The color contrasts, the white of the architecture, the black of the lava, the volcanic ash, the green of the plantings, and the turquoise of the water are components of autonomous works of art. What is significant, they are not based on costly investments based on complex structures, but they are based on the spaces shaped in a natural system with complementary human action. And the brilliance of these assumptions can be found in the interconnections, intertwining of the visions that aim to create the manifestations of the freedom of human life in union with nature. The perseverance, passion and belief in that it's possible to create architectural interiors with functions adequate to the user's expectations seem to be a manifestation of the ability to successfully materialize one's visions almost without restriction and renouncing originality.
Trwałości, użyteczności i piękna.
Is consistency in the pursuit of architectural parameters in the context of natural space is implied the appearance of works of fundamental importance for the preservation of heritage, character and identity of the island, and just as nature that is unique, the spaces created by the artist located throughout the island of Lanzarote are a unique example of a unique approach to the problem of shaping the surrounding space, taking into account the relationship between men, the environment, and the future. Getting closer to nature includes also botanical inspirations, growing in the interiors. It gives the feeling that this is where they belong.
Do charakteru otaczającej rzeczywistości.
The artistry of the creator that goes beyond the limits of standard architecture is perceived as the main attraction on the island. Sculpture-like buildings and their interiors full of artifacts are the first associations with César Manric's implementations. Then questions may arise about their usability, and in response, we might cite their existence. They are still here today, so it means that they effectively performed their role. If we want to feel the world of steel, structures, glass, upward lines, money, the smell of money, progress, the pursuit of tomorrow, we can. This is also a kingdom of love, but love for other values. And a question to end with. What is love? Love is a feeling, a type of relationship between people, behavior, attitudes. Very often it is the inspiration for literary works, paintings. It is an important aspect of psychology, philosophy and religion. In the context of architecture, it is a reference to the sincerity of forms, structures, materials. It is humility towards the other context, awareness of time and place, economic and technical conditions, love for caring about the future of the future generations and the environment and the tomorrow and what tomorrow will look like. Love gives us power to overcome hardships. We want to experience such power as César Manric did. If we want to do that, then let us stop for a moment in the climate of the space where the relationship between nature, tranquility, people is so evident.